Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk to Experts Tuesday. Today's topic is GeoAnalytics and Geo Operations. My name is Sue Macaluso, and I'm the Senior Community Specialist here at Qlik. Today, we have this wonderful team of panelists that you see there on your screen. But before we introduce them, I'd like to introduce you to Jamie Gregory. She will introduce herself and go over some of the housekeeping, as well as what you can expect from today's chat. So without further ado, Jamie, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sue. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk to Experts Tuesday. We are so thrilled to have you all here. This is a webinar series that was designed to give all of you an hour with a few of our product experts. You can use this time to ask questions about the topic at hand, and it also gives you an opportunity to get to know us. So we do have a few housekeeping items for today. Everyone is muted, so please use the Q&A panel to ask your questions. We will not necessarily be using the panel to respond, as we're going to try to get to everyone's questions live today. So if we don't get to your question or it's something that may take some time to research, it will be posted in the Qlik community along with the recording in an FAQ. So I will make sure to show you where that is a little bit later. And if you hopped on to get your question answered and then you have to leave, that's totally okay. You will be prompted for a survey, so please just take a minute to fill it out and give us some feedback on the session and how we can improve. Or you can also give a suggestion on another topic you would like to see. Any and all feedback is, of course, appreciated. If you're not prompted, you can email us any feedback at digital@qlik.com. I will make sure to put that email address in the chat a little bit later. Also, you'll see a QR code on the slides today, and that QR code links to the registration page for our next session. So please keep in mind that some panelists are within Qlik support, but we're not going to be answering any questions regarding a specific open case, nor will we be able to really answer too many scripting or development questions. Patrick might have some knowledge and Clever might have some knowledge. We might be able to do a little bit with the GeoAnalytics side, but not any like QlikSense scripting or QlikView scripting or anything like that. And again, we just ask that you keep the questions related to the topic at hand. All right, so go ahead. You guys can start, or everyone can start using the Q&A panel to get your questions in. But while we wait for everyone to do that, I'll take the time now to introduce everyone on the panel. Joining me today, I have Joseph Musakura, Technical Support Engineer, Clever Angel, Senior Solution Architect, and Patrick Nordstrom, Director of Product Management. So Joseph, will you please go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name is Joseph Musakura. I'm based in Lund. It's a small city south from Sweden, and we have a big office here for Qlik. So I started with Qlik in 2012 and support the front end, especially the design, development, and integration. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Joseph. Clever?
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure having you all here. My name is Clever Anjos. I'm a pre-sales. I'm based in Brasilia, the capital of Brazil. I have about 15 years of Qlik background as a partner, a customer, and now as an employee. I've already produced some videos about the GeoAnalytics for Portuguese native speakers, and I hope all of you enjoy this meeting.
Great, thank you. And Patrick?
Yeah, so I'm the product manager for GeoAnalytics. I came aboard with Qlik in 2017 when Qlik acquired the company that I work for, Ideation, which their products form the basis for what we see in the Qlik product today. Since then, I've got some extended responsibilities, taking care of all the charts in the QlikSense platform, not just the map chart. Even between you and I, we all know which chart is the best one.
Of course, of course. All right, everyone. So again, my name is Jamie Gregory. I'm in the Raleigh office here in North Carolina, and I've been with Qlik for about 3 years. I started off supporting QlikSense, QlikView, and GeoAnalytics. It was one of my first. And now I kind of live out in the community. You probably see where the blogs that I write, the Qlik Support Updates blogs. And yeah, so let's go ahead and just get started. Let's go ahead and just jump right in. All right. So the first question that we have is, you know, probably one of the most infamous questions that we get on all of our sessions. What is the roadmap for GeoAnalytics in SAS specifically?
Yeah, since it's a roadmap question, perhaps it's something that I can respond to. So when we started out with GeoAnalytics, it was all based on the extensions and the connector and the server. These are the three things that make GeoAnalytics work. Since then, we integrated much of the mapping functionality or the visualization part inside of the native map chart. So that is how we will take that further. So the extensions will diminish over time. As for the connector that extends Qlik Sense and Qlik View's operational abilities when it comes to geospatial, they are being superseded with the Geo Operations service. So that is how we will do things in the future. I hope in the future also that we can see Geo Operations for Qlik View and Qlik Sense, but right now you are using the connector for Qlik View, Qlik Sense on premise, and the operations on SaaS. What I'm hoping to do for in the near future for Geo Operations in SaaS to make it a bit simpler is that we will hopefully allow for accessing geodata directly on data files. So you can drop a shapefile or a GeoJSON file in your data files, and that will be much easier to extract. I'm also hoping that we will have like a small connector where you can just add a URL or or point to a file, and then it produces the Geo Operation line for you. So it will be easier to load geodata. Of course, there are many things that you could do with the operations inside of, but that's the things that I can oversee right now.
Perfect. And just to add to that really quickly, there is going to be a roadmap session coming up. The community team does put on a roadmap session with the product managers. And on June 3rd, there is going to be a roadmap session for GeoAnalytics. So you can get more information from Patrick. And that'll be good because he might have more of an update. It's a few months down the line, so you never know what's going to come on the roadmap during that time. And you can find that in the events page. So let me just share my screen really quickly.
And just to be clear, the roadmap is for data analytics. So it's more than just one product.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so let's see. Let me go ahead and share. The registration is not up just yet, but it'll be here on the community.qlik.com and then events and webinars. So in a couple of days, you should see the registration for that. Did it share my screen?
No, go ahead,
No.
Jamie. You didn't share. I forgot to unshare a second ago.
No problem. All right, so community.qlik.com, and then you just go to here to events and webinars, and it'll take you to that page. You'll see the sign up down below. Like I said, it'll be a couple days, but it'll be up there shortly, so you can get an update on that. Perfect. All right. Let's see, next question. Someone else had a question about some of the tech updates. I don't know if you have, I mean, that kind of answered it, I think, Patrick, with tech updates as well. So I have a question, if it is possible to use signed license key for multiple QSE implementation, which are geographically separated, would it be possible to get a contact to discuss it more in detail, please? So I think this is more just related to Qlik Sense Enterprise. So again, we do ask that you keep the questions to the topic at hand, which today is GeoAnalytics and Geo Operations. I can try to see what we can do to get you some information on that.
I can leave a small comment on that,
Okay.
because for GeoAnalytics, we are using the left key today, the written or the text-based key. We use that in the server and the extensions, and it's important that you use the same key in the server as well as in the extensions. So those of you who run with signed keys today, you can ask sales operations and get a left key that you can use for GeoAnalytics. So it's a bit of a manual process to contact sales operations. For the coming release, I think in May, we will be able to handle signed keys also in all parts of GeoAnalytics, but it still stays the same, that you have to have the same signed key on the server as well on the extension side, if you are using that type of setup. And if you have multiple setups, you shouldn't blend the different signed keys. You should just use one signed key and that server can then serve multiple sensor environments. Sorry.
No, that's great. Thank you so much. So I hope that answers it. We can still maybe try to reach out to like your account manager or something like that, and you can have a discussion with them about that. All right. So the next question, this one looks, I think this is you again, Patrick. So they're talking about the GeoAnalytics connector for enterprise on Windows, and they just kind of said the ability to compute area and length.
Yeah, so for like area calculations, that is not something that we that type of calculations we don't do in the operations today. The closest to calculations is the route calculations that we do, but we don't do any area calculations in Sense or in GeoAnalytics. And we don't have any plans to add that. I think area calculations is somewhat special. I haven't heard so many asks for that among the client base that we see. Of course, area calculations is a well-known field in GIS, but I'm not sure if that's the number one functionality that we should add to the analytics today.
Great. And just to kind of add to that as well, you can put your ideas out on Ideation, and that will help, gauge interest from other users and things like that. So if you go to community.qlik.com, you can go here to Ideation. You can search the ideas that we already have, see if it's already out there, and then you can just show your support by giving a like or a comment on that post. And if you need to create an idea, the easiest way is just to go back up here and to suggest an idea. So you can enter in your ideas there.
Yeah, and I can confirm that we are using this as a tool for us product manager to pull the interest of an idea. So it's also good to find an idea that matches your idea, then leave a comment and start a discussion. We are reading everything. It's a good way to communicate with us product managers.
And just a side note on that, you must be a customer, a partner, or a luminary to access and submit an idea.
Yep. So you do have to be logged in, and then you can post your idea or search the ideas and comment and like and things like that. Okay, perfect. Kind of similar to that. Again, for the connector on Enterprise on Windows, complex intersections often fail, sometimes have to resort to Python workflow to solve.
So I haven't come across that much. It might be that the customer is trying to intersect with really large polygons. Maybe that's the problem. I'm not sure. It doesn't say whether he's running cloud or his own server. It might be the case that he has to increase the available memory for the server process. But intersect is a heavy operation. So if you are using, well, when it always comes to, you should make some decisions rather. Is it necessary to have that high resolution on the areas that you calculate intersect on? So it might be possible that you could simplify the areas a bit before you make intersect. It doesn't work in all cases. Sometimes you need all the breakpoints that you have, but in many cases, people work with especially if you blend several sources of information, then it's good to have a common resolution across all of your areas that make sense. So you're not having one that are super detailed and boggles down your computations.
Okay, great. Let's see. I was just looking. I know that there's an article out there for, setting the GeoAnalytics memory. I can't find it right now, but I will make sure it gets posted in the FAQ if that's an option. Something else I would suggest is to go to the GeoAnalytics Forum. So if you go up here to Forums, Data Analytics, click GeoAnalytics, and then click GeoAnalytics Discussions. If there's any more information that you can provide about the issue that you're seeing, or like a sample app or something like that. I know Patrick is heavily involved in the community, and so I bet he'll see that and be able to take a look at it for you if you need a little bit more assistance with that. I'm just going to offer up your help, Patrick.
Thanks.
Oh, he said yes, large land use polygons. There we go. All right, let's see. Next question. So where can we find documentation and examples on how Qlik GeoAnalytics works with QlikView? There's limited examples from what I can find online. I think, Clever, you answered this, so do you want to show the link that you provided? Is that okay? Oh,
I was showing.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
I'll go ahead and stop sharing for you.
Okay. Share screen. So as we can see, can you see my screen right now?
Yep.
As we can, yeah. The whole documentation for Qlik GeoAnalytics for QlikView is here, and we have, of course, our community I was describing here that we can find a lot of examples. And of course, if I forgot the name of the person that asked it. Price, right? I don't know how to spell it, how to say this. If you have a special question, feel free to open a discussion here. So maybe one of us can help, or another community user can help. So you can find the documentation here, and here for more detailed examples and so on, you can find any more further information here.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
No.
All right. So I have.
Sure.
Oh, okay, no problem. I have geo data coming in from Esri, and I believe that data comes in US feet. Can you show us how to convert it into Qlik readable format using the Geo connector?
Hold on, share screen. Yeah. There is a special document made by our master, Patrick Norrisman, explaining how to load an ESRI file. So maybe you can try this tutorial. Feel free to put any comments here if you can't, for any reason, to use it. There's a sample here using QlikView and Qlik Sense, and of course the ESRI file here too. So please try this tutorial. If anything go wrong, add a comment here, okay?
I can just add to that, Clever.
Okay.
When I'm talking about the data comes in US feet, normally you would need more information about the coordinate system than in just it's based on feet. So there's something called the ESPG code, which is like a shorthand code for the reference system that you're loading the data from. Sometimes when you load data, the information on the reference system is incorporated into the file, but sometimes it's missing. So when you run the connector, you will have to enter this code, and that is sometimes the information is lost, and then you have to go back to the source and find out which is the reference system. And there are like thousands of reference systems, so sometimes it can be hard to guess.
Great. And so if they go back to the source, do you know kind of where it would say that this ESPG code would be?
So
Or
yeah, it depends on the source. In an Esri shapefile, there's usually a file called PRG G file, which holds the projection information. And sometimes it's just variables, and sometimes it's names that you can figure out the code and normally you would like to do a search as well. Maybe you get the coordinate system is NAD 83, and then you do a Google search to find the EPSG code, which you are using for this.
gotcha. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's very helpful. And then again, to Clever's point, if you have any issues or any trouble, again, community post on the GeoAnalytics forum. Like Patrick's out there. There's a lot of people out there that like to help with that kind of stuff. So if you just post, maybe, I don't know if it's possible to post the file that you have, or maybe you could kind of share the source or something like that, and people can dig a little bit deeper if you need more assistance with that.
Yeah, I saw Martin Curtis came with a tip that you can use the PRG file. There's sites on that interpret the file and get you back the code that is necessary.
Oh,
given that you have a PRG file, it's not mandatory. So.
Okay, gotcha. All right, and then kind of similar to the documentation for the Qlik view, is there documentation for Qlik Sense for GeoAnalytics? So maybe the example
yeah,
file?
I mean, there's they work pretty much the same. That's the intention, that they should work the same for all platforms, but there are specific entry points in the help that's Clever posted, and there's also specific Qlik view examples that you could try out. And there's the first post in the forum is a good starting point. It has all the links to videos and reference documentation where you can download examples and see the tutorials. There's also video training for GeoAnalytics.
Great, thank you. Let me just I'll show that again, just so everyone has it, or can at least see it. So here on the community and the GeoAnalytics forum, there's this new to GeoAnalytics, read this first post that Patrick wrote. And there's quite a few different examples. And you can actually get the QVF files to help recreate that project yourself. So it's very hands-on materials there. And then I believe in the help site, there should be a Qlik GeoAnalytics for Qlik Sense, and that's all the documentation for the Qlik Sense side. So that is all available. And let me go ahead. I'll put the links in there while we're reading the next question, or while they're answering the next question. All right. Let's see. So would it be possible to control zoom levels dynamically?
So I'm stealing airtime here all the time. So it's not possible today to programmatically make the map zoom in and out. So the zoom is either you zoom it by user interaction, zoom in or out, or you have auto zoom on, and then it will adapt the zoom level to the points that you have on the map. We have been discussing whether we should have some kind of API towards to the map chart that that you read or set certain variables that you could then figure out the zoom level or change the zoom level of the map. But that is nothing decided. So it might be possible in the future. What you can do, you can decide which layers that should control the zooming. So you could have like an invisible layer that you are manipulating with, and somewhat indirectly make the map zoom in and out based on the bounds of this hidden or transparent layer. So that is possible.
Okay, great. We'll give you a break, Patrick. My license says I have GeoPlus. Do I need to install it? What is it for?
One, yeah, maybe I'll put a link there in the chat before I can answer to this question. This is about the link shared there is about installing Qlik GeoAnalytics Plus. So yes, if you have a GeoAnalytics tag, GeoAnalytics Plus tag in your license, before you use it, you have to install it. Because the GeoAnalytics Plus works as a mini server. It means you can connect to our Qlik Cloud to get some connector and get information, use the operations. But if you want to use GeoAnalytics Plus, you have to install it. Another thing is that when you use GeoAnalytics Plus, you have also to install the Java. The Java must be for 64 bits, and the version must be above 8, Java 8. So that's very important because GeoAnalytics will be based on Java for communicating with the server. So Java is required. And the important feature in GeoAnalytics Plus as well is that you have many operations. If you connect to GeoCloud, our cloud server, and if you use the GeoAnalytics Plus, there is a difference about the calculation that you get. So this is the importance of that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You have more? Okay. Something I'll add to the GeoAnalytics Plus, just to the Java part really quick. You can only have one version of Java installed. I have seen that in the past where someone's had Java, like 2 different versions of Java installed, and then yeah, you can only have the one, and just make sure it's a supported version, which you can find in the help as well, which versions are supported there. Great, thank you, Joseph. What resources are available for GeoOperations?
I'll handle this. I'm gonna put a link in the chat.
Okay.
Before responding. Okay. Yeah, I'm pasting the chat here. As you can see, may I share my screen?
Yeah.
No.
Let me just stop.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, as put in the chat, we have a whole website about GeoOperations. GeoOperations is kind of scripts you can do in the backside, so you can invoke. They especially focus on our SaaS offer. So is that the way you use GeoOperations when you're using SaaS? So as you can see here, we have a whole bunch about how to use, any operations, how to migrate, because people that are used to choose the form, the user that generates scripts on customer manager Qlik Sense now have to translate the operations in this script way. So now we can see here how to convert the Qlik geo connectors to GeoOperations. So the link in the chat is the full documentation, and we have in the community too, and more examples and so on.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
I like that there's like the examples to show how to convert the script, because that's something that I didn't really think about before is, how would you get this QVF in there and then make the changes necessary. So that's really cool.
Now, as you can see here, we have a section about this, how to convert the transform from connectors into GeoOperations.
Great.
Okay.
Can you click on, oh, never mind. I was going to see if you could show the how I made this. I just wanted to see what one of the how I made this examples looks like.
You want to share again?
I'll share it. Okay.
You want to share? Okay.
Yeah. So, and it looks like, you know, in the help here, there's, of course, there's always more information in the community, but there is these how I made this. So I thought that was really cool. So I just wanted to share it really quick. So if you want to play around with, if you have SAS, you want to play around with the Geo Operations, I would definitely recommend taking a look at this. Again, it's in the help, just underneath the Qlik Geo Operations, how I made this. And there's a couple options there. So you might want to play around with that to learn a little bit more about Geo Operations. Okay, let's see. How do I geocode?
Yeah, I'll handle that too. Okay. Screen. Yeah, I'm using here Customer Manager, so I'm using ClickSense on Windows to do this. Yeah, for example, this is my address here in Brazil. Okay, so of course you can bring your address from Excel spreadsheet, your database, CSV files, or here, as I'm showing you, it's an inline table, right? When you use ClickSense on Windows, you have a connector called GeoAnalytics Cloud, maybe. So it shows a wizard. I want to use one of the operations that is address point lookup, and maybe just you only need to fill the form here. So country is my field country, state is state, city is my city, postal code is my zip code here, street is street, house number is my field house, and I have to only set this to a loaded table. My table is called addresses. And I have, for example, ID, street, city, state, zip, country, house. Yeah. It's not because it's none of these fields are already geographies. They are not point or line or polygon. They are, so the connector must convert these fields into geographic. Okay. So next, so the connector will create for me a script. So don't worry about what is being generated here. Yeah. And when you run your script, the GeoAnalytics connector will convert these in a lifelong in a points. So this runs, and I'm supposed to, now you are supposed to see where I live in Brazil. Yeah, it's here. It's my point here. Yeah. If you zoom out, you can see where I live here in Brazil. But if you're using our SaaS offering, you need to use our Geo Operation, and we have some sample. Oh, sorry, Geocoding here. So let's see. You need to use that I was saying the Geo Operations. So there is a link in the community about these. Okay. You have a running sample, Patrick, about geocoding on SAS. You can show us.
Yes, I think I have.
Great.
So I can show it. So one of the things to consider when you're doing geocoding, this was an excellent example. Clever showed exactly how you should do the geocoding task, so to speak. When you are doing geocoding, you should also use our template because we want you to save the result. So this is the geocoding template. So basically, it allows you to load a couple of addresses and then run the script to get a result, back. I can show what it looks like in the data load editor. So it's a template that allows you to store the geocoding results in between sessions. You don't have to reload all the addresses every time. So you can only do it, you only need to do it once, and then it stores it into a QVD file. So in this template, first I load the addresses, then I try to load a cache if there is one, otherwise it will select all the new ones, run the lookup operation. The lookup operation is this part. It looks a bit long. That's because we have different fields for each one of the parts of the address. And then I do some calculations on the result. So what you get back when you are doing the lookup is that you get a quality match on how good the input address matches the output address. You will also get the matching level, whether you get it on house number or just on street. You get the match on the street, or if you get it on the zip code or on the region or on the country, which is the worst, lowest form of precision. So as long as there's some tips that you should consider when you're doing geocoding, is that you should make sure that you have in data fields with proper information. So the quality of the lookup is highly dependent on the in data. And make sure that the address field only contains the address, not phone numbers or apartment numbers or other relevant stuff that makes it not working. So if there are, if you know, for instance, that the state information is not really that good, then you should omit that information rather than put it in. Sometimes people use abbreviations for streets, and you should try out to write that out if possible. And zip information, or the postal code information, has really high precedence. So if you suspect that this is that is something wrong with that zip code information, then you should also leave that out. Normally, when I do geocoding, I start out with a smaller amount of the data first. If I have 100,000 addresses to geocode, I'd start with 100 first, just to make sure that everything loads properly and all my fields names are correct and the in data looks fine. And then I run a subset and look at the result. I haven't seen an address register that is perfect, so you will have between 5 and 10% of faulty addresses, and the process of geocoding will sort them out for you so that you can at least take care of them. So and that is normally a manual process to make sure that the address is fixed, and you do that by the source rather than in your app. So short introduction to geocoding.
Perfect.
But it's we have a special site on just like Clever mentioned, so you have an easy way to access the template apps that you need. So,
and is it a special license for geocoding?
Yeah, Exactly. So the geocoding, those two operations, address to point and point to address, is not part of the standard GeoAnalytics license. So it's a subscription that you acquire, and that allows you to do 1 million lookups during 1 year. But you're allowed to store the results and reuse them for other purposes.
Oh, great.
So, yeah.
Perfect. So if you don't see those options in the connector when you go into the dropdown, that is probably why it's not a part of the license. If you have any questions or you want to learn more about it, I would suggest reaching out to your account manager and they can help give you some information on that. Great.
Yeah.
So let's see. Next question. Just so everyone's aware, we are 40 minutes into the session already. It is just flying by. At least it is maybe for us. So if you have any more questions, make sure you use the Q&A panel. We have our experts here at your disposal, so get your questions in so you can get some really great advice. All right, so next question, can the UI get current zoom level?
So that ties into the previous question regarding how to control the map chart. And you can't figure that out today. If you have auto zoom on, it will automatically zoom into the bounds of the current layer. So you could, I mean, if you know which layers controls the map right now, you could calculate the bounds of the points, and from there calculate backwards the zoom level. The actual zoom level is hidden, or you have to switch it over to the property panel, and then you can switch on the debug info, and then you will see the current resolution and the zoom level where you are. Normally you use that information to control which layer, because you can switch on layers on and off based on zoom level, and then it's good to know the current zoom level. So if you have several layers, then you want to make sure that one starts when the other ends, so to speak.
Okay. Let's see, next question. Can you set the background layer, i.e. satellite pale default dynamically?
So that is, there's this exploration. Maybe I can show how it can be done. Share. Now I'll switch to desktop. So there is this exploration menu. And here you can control, different type of base map layers. So that is one way to do that. The other way to do it is to create base map layers. That is a specific, a certain type of layer that you add to the which is called the background layer. So I've done that. I've added 2 different layers, and then I use programmatically control which should be the entry point for these. And here I'm using the S3 base map, so I can switch between imagery, like canvas, streets, and topographic.
Oh, that's really cool.
I think that is also part of one of the tips for using different background maps. So
Oh, great.
Can't remember which one, but it's it's there.
Okay.
So yeah, a base map layer is where you control you set the endpoint with a URL. And in this case, I'm using a field to control the URL, but you could use a variable instead if you want.
Okay, perfect. Great. And is Autoselect visible available in the native map?
So I think that was select by visible or something like that. It's a feature that we had in Qlik GeoAnalytics for Qlik Sense, which allows you to do selections based by zooming and panning in the map. It uses a spatial index. So that is a functionality that we haven't brought into the map chart. In the future, I think we will do something similar at how the scatter plot works with the smart data compression. So there are engine functions to create binning layers and load data on demand. So we probably will use that instead, but it's not available for Qlik View and it's not available in the native map chart yet. I saw that there was one question in the chat window, and we don't encourage that, but I can respond to it anyway. We haven't set up an end of life date yet for the IDEVIO extensions, but it will come. And I encourage everyone to use the native map chart instead, because it's, at least for Sense, for Qlik View they will stay, but for Sense the native map chart now have much more functionality. We have the WMS wizard, we have image background layers. Yeah, there's a lot of more functionality. Printing works in a different way. Export is better as well. So I encourage everyone to use the native map chart instead.
Great. It's been fun to see the evolution, I think, of the native map chart, just from even 3 years ago, back when I started with the native chart. It was very, very limited. And now just the feature and functionality that is available in that chart, it's pretty amazing. It's really evolved over the years. So, all right, let's see. Are lat longs required to plot data?
Oh, I'm assuming that question is about using the native map. No, you can use any named area or named point. For example, if you load your city name in the native map, it will show your city. Maybe you have to adjust your country, because, for example, we have one state in Brazil that AL, in US you have AL as a state too. So we have to set the country properly.
Great, thank you. I think something cool is the ability to look up areas and things like that. If you aren't aware, you'd have to dig around in your installation files if you're on Qlik Sense Enterprise or desktop or something like that. But there's actually QVDs with some of this information stored in there, and that's kind of where the lookup happens for some of it. So it is, you do not have to have the lat longs. You can look up, like Clever was saying, cities and states and things like that using just the area lookups. And yeah. All right. We've kind of already discussed this one quite a bit, but what is the difference between GeoAnalytics and GeoOperations?
So
I was
GeoAnalytics
muted
is,
there.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I was muted. So yeah, I put some one link in the chat before I can explain this one. Give me 1 second. I put this link there. Maybe you can follow the link there when providing this explanation. Where's the chat again? Panel. Yep. Is it? Not the chat, but the panel, right? So let's explain. I mean, when we talk about GeoAnalytics, we define the GeoAnalytics that a platform that define both the map and geographic services. So the maps is just what we were discussing now. We're talking about the map object, map extension. We talk about layers, bubble layer, chat layer, geodata layer. But when you talk the GeoAnalytics services, we talk about the geometric operation, lookup operation, which we discussed also, named area lookup, address point lookup. Those geographic services are called Geo Operations. But as Patrick pointed out as well, we are moving for the not using the extension connector, but we are moving, next release will be about only native map and Geo Operations. And native Geo Operation will replace what we call the extension and the connector. So GeoAnalytics is a global, it provides both map extension and the connector. It provides also the geographic services. So to separate, the GeoAnalytics services will be the Geo Operation, and they will replace all extension, or the connector will be left aside. I think Patrick has something to add there.
Yeah, I mean, the future is what we call with GeoAnalytics. We started out with the extensions and the connector and server. Going forward, we will have the native map chart, the Geo Operations service, and the GeoAnalytics server. So that is a shift in generations, and there's many advantages to Geo Operations compared to the connector. For instance, the connector is based on the connector API, which is not really meant to do the type of operations that we do. Maybe I can share. For instance, it's much easier to load a shapefile. It's much more condensed code. It will also allow you to do, because when you do operation on a loaded table, much of the code that the connector produces is for chopping up and sending the parameters to the map server and back. But now you're using the server-side extension API to stream the internal table to the map server and the result back. So it will simplify a lot, and it's faster and more efficient.
Perfect. Great. All right. So let's see. Another question that just came in. Uber's H3 hexagonal coverage is stable size-wise and is available at many zoom levels. Might be an interesting supplement to current binning. Thoughts? Sounds like Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, there's many ways to do binning. We provide two different binning methods today. We have a square-based binning that is also it's degree-based, and then we have hexagonal binning, also degree-based. But you could think of other types of ways to do binning as well. You can actually create your own binning as well by making computations. We could also, I mean, if you produce the binning layers in a different environment, you could also incorporate them into GeoAnalytics. I don't have any specific opinion on Uber's product, but I will look into it, see if I can we can make an integration.
Great. Thank you. All right. So last call for any questions. Use the Q&A panel. Get your questions in. I'm going to go ahead and just share really quick where you can find all the information once it's available. Let's see. Let me just bring it on over. Okay. So if you go out to the community, so basically what happens is I take all these questions that we've answered today and I put them into a FAQ. So if you just search the community you'll search like GeoAnalytics FAQ, but let me just show like a couple, that we've done already in the past. So if I just search for QlikSense FAQ, you should see the FAQs pop up. So here is an example: Talk to Experts Tuesday, General QlikSense session on November 17th. We also have the, I'm still learning the new. I get confused sometimes. Sorry. If you go to support and then support programs and talk to experts Tuesday, we do have our own support program page here. This is a great resource where you can find any of our upcoming events. We did have the QR code available earlier in the session. Hopefully you were able to sign up for our next session, which is February 23rd. It's on Qlik Compose. If you're not familiar with Qlik Compose and you want to see kind of what it's about, that might be a great session to join. It is a part of our QDI functionality here at Qlik. If you go to the past events tab, this is where we put the recording and the transcript for our sessions. And then it also has a link to the FAQ as a kind of a shortcut. It does have the recording as well. And then it has the associated FAQ there. So you can go ahead and find the FAQ that way. So like I said, everything is going to be put into the FAQ. We'll provide all the links and everything like that. Patrick, was there anything else that you wanted to share? Or did I think? No,
that's pretty much sums it up.
I know you said there were some links you wanted, but I think we kind of went through them all throughout the session. So we will make sure all of those are included in the FAQ. And let's see, I think that is it. There haven't been any more questions entered in. So we'll give everyone a few minutes, back to your day now. Thank you once again for joining us today. It was a great session. We got through all of the questions, which is always a good thing. If you have any more, again, the community is a great place. The forum for GeoAnalytics, everyone is very active in that forum. So if you need any help, that is a great place to go. Again, February 23rd is our next Talk to Experts Tuesday, and a huge thank you to Clever, Patrick, and Joseph for joining me today. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. So on behalf of Qlik Support and Qlik Community, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
And don't forget to answer the survey.
Oh, yeah, fill out that survey.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.